Hey everyone, Will here. It's early morning, getting a start on the day, and thought I'd do a sales video since I didn't do a haul video this week. Really didn't find a whole lot, a little bit, but I don't like doing a small haul video. So I thought I'd go over a few things that sold. I haven't done one of these in a while. We'll just go over some of the higher price stuff. They're always the more interesting ones to me. First up, copper kettle. I picked this up at a yard sale. I guess a little over a month ago. Got it for 150 bucks. And sold it for $630, and the buyers paid another $190 to ship it. They're going to be making peanut brittle with it. I thought that was pretty neat. They promised me to send me some. So that was a great deal. Paid $150 and sold it for $630. You know about the swords, bought two of these experimental swords for $75 for the pair. This one sold for $340, and the other one sold for $305. The Turkish bath shoes. When I first got these, the person told me that they were geisha girl shoes, but turns out they were Turkish bath shoes, and it says they sold for $250, but I actually took an offer on them of $210. They cost $40. Paid those. Maybe off on some of these prices that I paid. I'm going off the top of my head here, but I remember I paid $40 for those. This is something I've just had sitting around for a long time. It's too bad, and it's not even working correctly, and I sold it for $200. Ruver's typewriter metal tag embosser. The guy's going to take it and fix it up. Retail on these things is like $1,000, so $200 should pretty good deal for him, and a really good deal for me. I can't remember what I paid for this. Probably somewhere, I'm thinking somewhere around $15 or so. And that'll be going out FedEx. I've been using FedEx a lot for the larger items. Civil War Confederate field message. The guy was really happy to get this. Sold it for $210, and paid. That was like a $60 item, $75, something like that. Took a little bit of time to sell it, but was well worth it. Another large item that went FedEx. I think that was $85 to ship this. Shipped it off to a store in New York City. I guess you're going to use it as a display piece. $175. Had some great lettering on it. Gypsy Horse Farm wooden trunk. Not huge, but not small either. The ship's porthole, picked that up a couple months ago. Paid $60 for it. Sold it for $195. Patches. It's been probably a couple years ago now. I picked up a huge lot of NASA patches. The guy guy down in Florida bought out a thrift store and was selling these patches, just blowing them out. I got them for basically pennies a piece, and I've been selling them consistently. So this is something I had a ton of, these patches. So this was a foreign buyer. I forget what country they're from, but $200. Painted towel, $195. Paid like $5 or $10 for it. Just bought this last week. The monorail. Paid $90 for it and sold it for $190. Thomas Backshear's Ebony Visions. Bought a bunch of these bought a big lot of them. I think it was $120 for the lot. This was one of them. $175 for that one alone. Telescope. I had this listed for a couple years actually. Bought it at a yard sale. It's a telescope and the tripod. I did local pickup on it because it was just, the tripod was just massive. Paid $10 for that. The guy died. His wife was just blowing out his stuff, and sold it for $194. One of my workmates sold. That's the cast frame workmates that I love to buy. $175 on that. Person still hasn't picked it up, even though they paid for it. Sold it back on October 18th. Cast iron plant stand. I paid $40 for that and sold it for $175. Another one of those Thomas Blackshear figures that sold for $150. Kind of surprising. These things aren't even porcelain. They're resin, and they're bringing that kind of money. Sold a lot of silver coins, $159. This was a good one. Klein tool set. $133. Bought that. That came in a big bin I did a couple weeks ago. I got it at a yard sale. Bought a huge bin of tools. This was in there. Paid $30 for the tools. Terrific buy on that. Cast iron cannon, $125. It's something I've had sitting around for a long time. eBay gave me a hard time with it before. I think they made me take it down. So I sat on it for a little bit, relisted it, and it sold. I think I paid $50 for that. So I actually bought it for myself, and I don't hang on to too much stuff anymore. Maryland 29th Infantry helmet liner, $125. Paid like $5 for that. Naval boarding axe, $125. Paid $5 for that. The table radio that I paid $40 for at a flea market, and the guy only wanted the drawer out of it. I actually have the table sitting here. I need to, I guess I'll try listing a table. But he wanted to save on shipping, and he already had the table, so he just wanted the drawer. So I sold him the drawer, $162. This was a good one. Picked that up a few weeks ago. That was like $10. The Eagle plaque from 1957. I think it was 1958. But nice profit on that. The globe shade embossed said the Humphrey on it. Sold for, I paid $20. got 112. This little wooden trunk that actually went with the other wooden trunk that I sold. Pretty beat up condition, but a nice little guy. Paid like $5 or $7 for that. Sold for 105. Cast iron typewriter. Paid $30 for that and sold for 105. 15th anniversary spacewalk signed by the cosmonaut Leonov. Sold for 100. That was international. That was an international sale, and paid like $5 or $10 for that. Frame map of the 5th Armored Advance Victory Division that went to Belgium. $87.50 on that, and big item. Shipping was like another $75 on that, because I love using the foam insulating board on these pictures. Just cut it out bigger than the picture itself, sandwich the picture in between two pieces of it. Works well. The Superman costume, took an offer of $100 on it. That I think I paid $8 for that. Terrific deal there. This was a sale that was a return. The guy got it, and I think he had buyer's remorse. He returned it. I think I paid $15 for it. Remote control airplane. It was 120 for both of them. So I sold this one and the other one to the same guy. So it was $280. Murano glass, always love Murano glass. $90 on that, and real. They use real gold. First edition signed book by Dan Simmons. That came in a huge lot of books. Paid $300 for the entire lot. Got $87.50 of it back on this one. Grand Bayonet for $84. Memphis Belle pin-up for $84. That's one I've had in my own collection for a while. From the $30 yard sale, big box of tools, the produce set sold for $81. It wasn't as good as what I first thought it was. There was a few pieces that were missing, a few pieces that were replaced, but still brought great money. Creepy clown painting. I imagine somebody used this for like a haunted house or something. Sold it for $70. Paid like $10 or $15 for it. Big sailing boat wall art sculpture. That was another one that went FedEx. Paid like $5 or $10 for it. Sold for $50. The dentures sold for. Took an offer of $80 on that. Cool looking piece. The sander. Took an offer of $80 on that. Franklin Mint. Franklin Mint stuff does well. This is one I've had sitting around for a while. Paid $20 for that. Sold it for $75. The koi fish, paid like $25 for that. Sold that for $75. Indian Wars trapdoor bayonet. I think I paid like $30 for that. Can't remember this one. I've had it for years. Sold that for $70. That was another challenging one to pack up. Used a foam board on that. This was pretty neat. Paid $5 for this. The guy actually had, it's a gun case. The guy actually had the gun, sold the gun. The guy didn't want the case, so I bought the case for $5, and might even been less than 5. Sold it for 75. Andy Warhol plate. Paid like 25 or 30 for that. Sold it for 70. Italian bayonet, part of my own collection. Sold that for 70. A bunch of snap-on sockets. Paid like $10 or $12 for that. Sold for 70. Carriage light. Had that for years, actually. It's been listed a long time. You can always tell my old listings, because when I started out listing, we had this old church bench, church pew, and we took pictures on there for a while before we upgraded. Knife, sold for 70. That's a Benchmade. They don't make it anymore. It wasn't cheap. That was like a $30 purchase. Roto light, got a bunch of these. Paid like $5 a piece. This is one of the first ones that sold. Steve Donkey, paid like $10 or $15 for it. Sold at 68. Motion lamp sold for 67. Paid 25 for that. State of Maryland flag sold for 65. Paid like 10 or 15 for that. Nikon binoculars, they were like a $15 or $20 pair. Vitamix blender with the booklet, 15 or 20 on that. Sold it for $59.50. A bunch of porcelain ducks. Got a huge lot of these and paid like $120 for the huge lot. Sold this one for $60. New pair of Sabago shoes. One of my few clothing items. Paid $8 or $10 for them. Sold them for $60. Alpha Kappa Alpha lot. Paid like $20 for the set, and that brought 61. Dark Shadows lot. Did not do well with these. Paid like this lot and another lot paid like 60 or 75, so pretty much broke even on that one. ColecoVision set, that came in a huge lot of video games. I'm drawing a blank on that, but big video game lot. I think I paid 80, 100, I forget. It was a big bin of stuff. Little Miss No Name, paid 15 for her, bought 60. Red Rose Tea, display base, got that for $5, sold it for 59. World's Fair plate, can't remember what I paid for that one. Probably no more than 10 or 15. Sold it for 59. Set of Art Deco drawer pulls. Paid like $20 for those. Sold them for 60. Leatherman. Love buying Leathermans. That sold for 65. Can't remember on that one. This is the same. I kept selling this He-Man Castle Grayskull, and to international buyers, kept wanting to buy it, even though I had no international shipping, because the shipping on this thing was just outrageous. So sold it a few times. Finally got somebody locally to get it. Hand carved woman. That I paid like $20 for that. Sold for 56. The fish piece was pretty neat. Paid like $3 for that, and it sold for $56. This was part of a big lot of pulp fiction books I bought for $20. This one alone brought $56. Pocket watch, paid $25 for, sold for $56. This was a Atari thing, paid like $15 or $24, sold for $53. Antique Polish book, paid like $5 for, sold for $57. Another He-Man castle, sold for $40. Set of nut drivers, paid $15, sold for $52. United Airlines pilot jacket, sold for $50. Paid like $5 or $10 for that. Burpee seed clock, not too well on this. Paid like $30 for that. Ole Cassini sweater, paid $15 for it, got $50. Roadrunner diecast car, normally, not sure what I paid for this one, but normally pay no more than $10 or $12 a piece. Industrial can opener, paid like $15 for. Ormolu, got a big box of that, broke the box into lots, and sold this lot for $49. Paid, I think I paid $40 or $50 for the entire big box. Camillus knife,